Hey guys, well, welcome back. I'm up in Northwest Wisconsin on a brand new listing I'm going to see for the very first time. I'm going to take you along with me. You're going to see this property through my eyes as we talk about all the features and benefits that help me establish a price. If you've ever been wondering how you set a price on a property, this is the time to find out. I'm Neil Hogger, land specialist. You're watching The American Landman. Woo! I had to get my bug shirt on. I am getting bombarded here. But let's talk about this cabin here. If I can keep the bugs out of my face and out of my nose and my eyeballs. Holy cow. This trailer, according to the owner, is about a 1960s model. And it does look like it's in good shape. It looks like they built off the side, so it adds a little bit of value. I had one of these on a farm that I recently sold that I personally own. And I know by doing my research that I only got about $2,000. God, this darn bugs. Okay, I'm back. I only got $2,000 out of this trailer, so it's not worth a whole lot. But the owner tells me, let me try this. How's this? Whew. The owner tells me that inside it's not too bad. It's fairly clean, but he didn't give me a key, so I can't get in there today. But I did see something they think you're going to find interesting. Check out that rub right there. Now this is always a good sign. This area up here is known to have some decent deer hunting. I wouldn't call it a real trophy area, but good numbers. But definitely some bucks that are frequent in the area. God darn it. I'm eating them. And you can have some good hunting up here in the barrens of Northwest Wisconsin. So I'm gonna head out into the breeze here, try to get these bugs off me. Ah! Come on, Lucy. Okay, I'm out in the breeze a little bit. Holy cow. I had to get my goggles on, my glasses, just to keep the darn flies from flying in my eyeballs. Late summer last year, we had a pretty massive windstorm that came through here. It blew down a lot of timber. Oh, God, I'm eating them. And this property was not spared. So a key to evaluating this property is going to be how much timber was lost. Now this happens to be jack pine. There's not a lot of value in this anyway, so probably not a lot of financial loss. But just getting around this property is going to be tough. And if the trails are all covered and I can't come in here with my UTV, we're going to either have to come in and cut our way through, or we're going to have to pay somebody to come in. And that's going to decrease the value of this property if a buyer or myself has to put the money into this, because frankly, we're both going to want to recapture our money spent. So, oh my God. So, I'm going to see if I can find a trail and get back in there. You think this is an easy job, guys? Oh my God, I need a bandana. Typically, I see up on these properties, I see really heavy jack pine. Ugh. But here I'm seeing a lot of red oak. And it's kind of nice. You see these little glades like this. Hasn't been timbered a long time. It looks pretty nice actually, and there's some decent trees to get up into. So when I evaluate these properties, I kind of look at this, and I definitely like what I see here. Now, if there was some nice trails through here, it would add to quite a bit of, the access would be enhanced, but I don't see that. I see some old trails, but at least they're not mowed and they're not cleared. So I'm going to follow it and see where this goes. But I just don't see a lot of work have been done on this property. And ultimately, that's going to hurt me on my assessment a little bit. Anytime I look at these properties, I always look for some timber value. I'm looking for ways to recoup some of the costs of a guy investing in this. Because if you can get these at the right price, maybe 10, 20% under value, and then come in and do a little timbering, you might recoup some of your money and maybe even have a break even. So here's a oak tree. This is a red oak right here. This has a nice, probably 2 or 3 good saw logs, and there's a number of them in here. Here's a couple more. This is a double. This definitely could be taken out, and these are large. This is as big as you see in Polk County. And I see some more back in there, some red oak in here, and some red oak and red pine in here. I noticed another scrape right here. Check this out. So obviously there's a decent buck work in the area, but you could see through the timber. It probably needs to be thinned a little bit. There's definitely some money to be had in here. So let's keep pushing back, see what we can find back further in. Now you guys have heard me talk about this before, and we talk about a property that hunts big. And this is an example of a property that does not hunt big because it's long and it's skinny. It's 40 acres, but it's long. In order to get back into this property, the guys would have to create trails and they would have to walk the entire length of the property to spread out. And along the way, you're gonna kick all the deer out of here and you're gonna have to wait for them to pass through. So in that sense, this does not hunt big because it's virtually flat. There's no topography. It's long and skinny. With the wrong wind, northwest wind, the only thing good about this is it's blowing off of your property. So I guess that's a plus, but getting back in here and getting access is gonna be a little difficult just for the fact you're gonna blow everything out. All right, let's talk a little bit about more habitat. Now, I grew up hunting in woods that are very similar to this. This jack pine forest, mixed oak, little open glades like this. And they can be really good. They can have a lot of deer. The population can be high, and that is the case up here. A couple years ago, the DNR came into one of the areas of Governor Knoll State Park and planted like 15,000 red pine to reforestate, and they all got nipped off. The deer population annihilated them, so they had a doe season up here to try to knock them down. So I think this is definitely a numbers place, and that's something you got to think about when you're a buyer, or if me as the marketer trying to sell a property, in that I'm not going to be marketing this towards marketing or trophy folks. I'm going to be marketing this to a guy that's coming up and maybe looking for a numbers place where he's actually going to see some deer come up, just have a good time. He's more into hunting maybe than just the quality of the hunting. But I like this here. I see this as a nice little opening right here. You could come in with a chainsaw and you could easily take out some of these trees. These trees are like 8 inches in diameter. A little bit of chainsaw work, come in here, open up a food plot. You plant it in the fall, get it established. You could have some nice food in the woods because there's not a lot up here and you're gonna draw every deer in the area. The only problem you're gonna have is you're probably not gonna be able to have enough food to feed all the deer that you're gonna draw in. They're gonna annihilate your food plots. Okay, I'm coming up to another rub here. This is rub number 4, a little smaller, but definitely some bucks work in this area, and I'm seeing trails as well. I don't know how well it's going to show up, but there's a nice trail, and here comes Lucy. She's on it, so I'm seeing quite a bit of these. That's giving me some confidence that the deer population is pretty good. Imagine if you had food out front, you'd probably just ambush these deers that are coming out to your fields to feed. Right, Lucy? What do you think? Okay, come on. Okay, here's another one of those glades we're talking about. These are really easy to open up. A little chainsaw work on a weekend with a couple buddies. And probably what you'd want to do is put a daisy chain of these all the way through the end of the property and spread these deer out. That way you could come in on the downwind side, maybe pop up in a tree stand, over one of these, and you'd have multiple food sources. And what I would probably suggest is try to create a line of travel from the backside towards the front where you've had your larger fields. You'd probably plant them in rye or buckwheat and try to get some brassicas established up there for the fall. You'd have a hard time with a summer food plot. It's so dry and they're gonna get baked. So clover wouldn't do well. So you'd probably have cheap food plots, but you'd be challenged to get them established. One thing about Wisconsin is we're blessed with a lot of public land, and that is the case here. We're right near the Governor Knoll State Park and a lot of Polk County state land, and there are literally thousands and thousands of acres of public land, and that's how I grew up hunting. My dad and I would come in to these woods just like this, and we'd find a log like this, and we'd sit down in this log, and we'd just nestle in for the day, and we would be locked down. We might only have maybe a 50-yard shot, if that, through the undergrowth here, but these deer would be right on top of us. We'd hear them coming, we'd hear the grunting and the chasing, and when they finally got in front of us, they were typically right on top of us, and man, you had to be stealthy, but it was some exciting hunting. The best part about it is there was a lot of deer, so That's, I think, what this property is. It's just going to be a guy that wants to come up for the weekend and do a little hunting. Get his boys out, get him some experience. Okay, so this timber is kind of a monoculture, as you see. Hardwoods, red oak, and jack pine predominantly mixed. So we've seen enough. We're going to walk around the entire property. It's all going to look like this. We're going to get out of here, and I'm going to show you a couple features on the way in that I noticed that might be attractive to a future buyer on how you'll use this property. So a few comments about the facilities on this property. Outhouse, not optimal, but maybe for some guys coming up for the weekend, it does the job, but maybe not so much for the ladies. You want to make sure you have a permit for that. Sometimes these were grandfathered in or permits were never applied before in the past, but when you buy, you want to make sure you check on that. If there's not a permit pulled, the DNR is almost positively going to guarantee you get one. And then I see looks like a 6 or an 8-inch pipe for well, and it's got a electric box on it with a faucet. So probably this cabin is not plumbed, but at least you have some power and some water on site, and that's definitely a plus. If you can get inside, it'd be even better. There's a lot of cool things about this property. It's within an hour and a half of 1 million people. It's got a shelter in the form of an old mobile home that's still usable. It's got power, it's got water. It's near a state campground and equestrian center. It looks to have some decent hunting. We're gonna do a little research on the area and see what some of the other listings around here have sold for. But my first impression of this is probably in that 150 range as far as price. But I always verify by searching multiple databases, and that's what we're gonna do. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this trip. I just swallowed a bug. God, I ate a bug. They're everywhere out here. Oh, sorry, it's in the back of my throat. You think this job's easy? Yeah, it is. It's fun, but holy cow. Welcome to my property assessment. I hope you enjoyed it. I got to end this thing because these things are driving me crazy. I hope you like, share, and comment below if you're interested in this property or any of the properties here that I show, or if you'd like me to find you one. Oh, God, give me a call. I'm out. Sorry.